I'm confused, chairman of the CDA, that covers, me, so the introductions, JD will start with you, if you don't mind.
Terry Travis and Gentleman Resolution. Jeff from Rock County.
I'm calling CDA.
Mr. Simpson. Jerry Simpson, for you, Jerry, you're the one, or you're gonna tell him.
Ellie Jordan, citizen. Michelle Lanigan, private.
Bob Monk, Portland Mitchell, alternate on CDA.
Hey, Joe.
Sherry Smith.
Ryan DeGroff, Business Order.
Lisa Middlesbrough, Port Warren.
Warren, Western States, Carver.
Greg Smith, CDA.
Bill Peterson, for tomorrow. John Schaefer, you will again. Thank you. Time for the public comment period, we don't. Before the line. Oh, online, I'm sorry.
We have a baby.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Sean.
And. And Alex. Her.
Yep, here.
City Oregon.
Alex Baumhart, Oregon Capital Chronicle.
There you go. And all the seniors.
It's very difficult to hear you on the Zoom link.
That can be, I'm cutting part from the speaker. David Sykes,
David Sykes, Morrow County.
Doug Wilson,
Doug Olson, Umatilla County Council.
Elizabeth Howard. Griffin Beach. Jay Middleton.
Yeah, Jason Middleton, Port of Umatilla.
Nick Cox,
Nick Cotts, Reese Training Center, Training Site Manager.
Oregon office. And Steve Williams.
All right, welcome everyone, I hope you can hear us okay. And public comment period, if you would limit your remarks to 3 minutes, we appreciate that. Please, Michelle.
I'm sorry.
My name is Michelle Lanigan. I'm former Army Base Transition Coordinator. I'm reading this letter and request to be submitted in the meeting minutes. Last month, I asked, why is Greg Smith still employed as Executive Director and why would he be increasing his pay? My reason for asking this include a number of unethical and illegal actions, including but not limited to Smith inappropriately tried to give himself a $109,000 raise, documented in ethics committee findings. When he was caught, he said he would pay it back, but he has not. Smith has been, and I know that's a very short summary of what happened, but Smith has been collecting full-time salary since he was hired in 2014 and verified his own time sheets as an employee and employer. However, he never actually worked full-time. As a result, the CDA has lost federal grant funding. See the attached Army letter dated February 21st, 2025. Again, that's a very short summary. So why is he still here and why are you considering hiring him for another contract? He has done almost nothing as your director since 2014. Now he has cost you federal grant money and put Port Morrow at risk of losing future federal funding. Also, who is paying his salary now? Who will pay it in the future? You have lost your grant money because of him. And I heard comments about individual agencies paying, but that means us taxpayers are going to be paying instead of federal government. So I want to know why. I've heard rumors it's because he can get funding as a state legislature. And Mr. Puzzi thanked him profusely for road funding. But isn't that his job as a legislature? If you are paying him to do that, it's private. I know because he's a good friend of Smith, as are others in this room. So how good? Is that a conflict of interest? There are so many reasons to dismiss Smith, and I've never heard a valid reason to keep him. He's ripped the CDA off hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you want to give him more. So why? And who's paying for it?
Thank you, Sean.
There's a minute left. It's a question. Your board. So let the minutes reflect the board is not responding to my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else? Anyone online?
This is Karen Jones.
Hey, Karen.
Hi. I had some questions, mainly because I've been reviewing the original plan for the depot reuse that was submitted and approved to the feds. And I wondered, I'm confused if we're sticking with that plan, if we're changing that plan, and if the plan is being changed, what's the public participation process? And I didn't know if losing the federal funding for the committee, if that also impacts the funding for the redevelopment, because I thought that we were getting federal money to help with the approved plan. So I was hoping that on a future agenda that we could go into some of those things, so that there's a clear understanding of what our goal is, where we're headed. And that's all.
Thank you, Karen. Anyone else? All right, great. Move on to the consent agenda and unless you have the preference, we could handle this in one motion. We can do three if you'd like. So, any preference from any of the board?
Question, Mr. Chair. On the November 25th board meeting minutes, I just had a question. On the last motion on number section 3, motion was Mr. Peterson moves to that an executive administrative services contract such as the one between the CDA and Gregory Smith and Company LLC meets the definition of a personal services contract under the CDA's procurement policy, and no further procurement requirements are necessary for the CDA to enter into that type of agreement. So I want clarification. Has the contract been entered and executed? Because that motion doesn't sound like we were authorizing the contract execution. That sounds like we said it meets the requirements for the personal services agreement, but it's not explicitly authorizing the execution of the contract. So I don't know if it's a question for you or for Elizabeth Howard. And the first question is, has the contract been executed?
Now let's go ahead and refer that to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. I could hear you loud and clear. Thank you. So that motion was not for execution of the contract.
Got it.
It was the predicate to allow you as a board to move forward doing a personal services agreement without further procurement process. And then there was a later motion in the meeting. And I apologize, I'm not seeing it quickly in the meeting minutes. So there was a later motion. Oh, there it is. Mr. Peterson moved to approve the personal services agreement with edits made today, contingent on the release of the known and unknown claims. That's a little farther down in the meeting. So that was the approval to move forward with.
Page 7.
Page 7 on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And the personal services agreement has not been signed.
Has not been signed.
Correct.
I have a question on that. JD, get your question answered?
Yes.
Does approval mean the contract itself is now final document with no further drafts? That's the impression that I got. We went into executive session, we made all these changes, we came out of executive session, and we approve the wording in the personal service agreement as a final document. Seems to me, doesn't the CDA board now have to make an offer of that contract, a motion to make the offer? Before, and then of course you've got, on the other end, you've got the release form. That was part of Joel Peterson's motion also, so it seems to me, there's two more steps that need to be taken before the personal services contract is off.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, you guys did not make any decisions in executive session last time. Those decisions and the edits were discussed and made in open session. The motion, as I understood it, was to approve the personal services agreement with the edits made. So, and you directed me to do that. I did that. I finalized the personal services agreement and the release. I provided that to the attorney, to Mr. Smith's attorney, and that is where things sit at this moment. So that personal services agreement and the release both were forwarded to Greg through his attorney.
Robert, the answer your question.
Well, it still requires further action.
Yes.
Well, I don't think so. As I understood that motion, it was the direction, you guys approved the personal services agreement and approved providing it to Mr. Smith contingent, and you approved signing it contingent on him also signing the release.
Okay.
So that is the approval that I understood you made,
Okay.
yeah, at our last meeting.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but in my mind, the motion doesn't say that.
Well, if you need to clarify, then that's, yeah.
Yes, doesn't say that.
But the personal services agreement says that we approved with Greg Smith LLC. However, what I hear you saying is that the CDA board has done, but Greg Smith needs to accept it and follow through. But not the CDA board.
Right, the offer has, yep, the personal services agreement and release and the offer have all been presented to Greg. Yep.
Okay, that isn't clear to me from what it says in the motion. Okay. So, I understand what you're saying.
What sort of action?
We were in executive session. We made several changes to the wording of the personal services agreement. And then when we came out of executive session, we confirmed those changes. And the motion in my mind is that this is the final draft of the personal services agreement. And that's, in my mind, that's where the motion begins.
I think another motion needs to be made.
That's my prediction here.
Another motion, or
Because I don't know how the rest of
can we change the wording in the minutes? Can we,
well,
minutes?
yes, the minutes have already been. I mean, I think further action needs to be taken, so I'll leave it go at that, and that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Elizabeth, can you give us some direction on that then?
I mean, if you want to make another motion to clarify, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But my understanding from our last board meeting was that that was what the board had directed me to do, and so that's what I did.
Okay. I'm looking for clarification of that motion then. Well, I don't think that's correct. The motion in the minutes is what was done. I think, right?
The action, Mr. Chair, the action before us is approving the minutes.
Yeah.
And then if any additional action will probably occur later in the agenda. Okay.
All right, let's put that down at work session C. How's that?
So, Mr. Chair, the personal service agreement is underneath number 8, old business, as well as executive session personal services agreement. So I don't know where.
Those are not.
officially on the agenda.
Oh, I see.
I was told to draft adding in old business if needed, so that would be a change to the agenda if those are added.
Add those.
Adding that one.
Say that again, Emily.
The old business section was not on the agenda. I was requested to draft in what those changes made. If you were to request to have those in there, I made it what it would look like on the agenda under an old business section. So those would have to be changes made to the agenda.
All right. Let's go ahead with the minutes as they are then. First of all, the first motion. Anybody want to move that we accept the minutes of November 25th as they are?
Just the whole consent agenda you're asking for,
Or both things, yeah.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
And move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Are we on the actual agenda? I'm looking at the online agenda and it's different than the one right in front of us.
Yes.
I know, I was requested to add in the potential changes to the agenda as if we were gonna discuss the personal services contract. And so I added them in, they're yellow under yours, just in case. Yeah, just in case you decided to add it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to formally add those onto the agenda?
Sorry, for my minutes, I need each of you to say yes or no for that motion. Sorry. But everybody say yes.
The last motion?
Yeah,
So you need a roll call?
yes, please.
All right, so.
I voted yes.
Jeffers and I,
No.
no, I,
No.
thank you. I got you taken care of, Emily.
Yeah, thank you, sorry.
Thank you. None of the information reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chair, are we adding that to the agenda?
I was just gonna ask the same question.
I would like to see the items 8, 9, and 30. 8 and 9. Added to the agenda.
Okay. Would you make a motion to go with that?
I'll so move.
Yes.
I'll second. I'll second that.
And moved and seconded that we add the items on the second page to the agenda. Those in favor, indicate by, you don't need a roll call on this, Emily.
Every motion, please. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. All right, now information reports.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So within your packet or on your iPad, you should have some pictures showing road construction and housing. There's several, I know we're on we're on budget. With that said, there's several outstanding issues that need to be addressed, and I'll go over those just very briefly. First and foremost is Umatilla Electric's cooperative legal counsel is reviewing the whole harmless indemnification agreement as it relates to the $5 million appropriation for this project. Spoke with Josh Burns yesterday, and I anticipate within the next week or so we should have that out of us. Another issue is right now there's Capping a contractor who's working through a right of way issue. I don't have a lot of details on that yet. I've asked Fred to put a memo together. Once I get it, I will forward it to each of you. And then the other issue that arose in the last 2 weeks was access to the leased igloos with road construction. And so because we're having to build in a new entry into the property, traffic flow for folks who want to get to their igloos. So we ended up having to, and you should have a picture in your packet, we ended up having to create a new pathway for them to get through. Not a major issue, but it was one that arose. And then the final outstanding issue is we're working with Century Link and a company called Lumen as it relates to the movement of their military department's fiber cable. That's over on the kind of center of the property, not so much west or east, but the center. And, we need to make sure that we have that road getting room for construction.
That's directly related to the placement of the road.
That's correct. That is correct.
Mr. Chair, I've got a couple questions. First question, and I just want to make sure that moving the road is not going to impact Roseburg and Owls. I know that that's an issue on the depot. It's not because they're still clear on that.
Yeah, that's kind of almost, they should not have any impact.
And then, the easement issue is, what easement are you talking about there? I don't see.
It's not an easement, it's a right of way.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Fred and Henderson Perry and Captain are working with ODOT, trying to make sure that the correct permitting is taken care of on that project, and so I'm waiting to hear back.
Do we know where that is?
Sir, I just heard about it an hour and a half ago, so I'll have to send a memo out to you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
So at this point, we're still on track to be done by September of next year, or?
Yes, sir, so in your package should be a timeline schedule.
Okay.
One of the areas that, that's outside of our control as it relates to the calendar is waiting on fiber to relocate. And, we're just waiting to find out when we, I think that will do that, we'll calendar.
Item number 2.
Yes, so, utility county litigation, there were 2 outstanding action items on our behalf. One was we needed to get to utility county a copy of the CDA's special district's insurance policy, they've done that. The second is I needed to respond back to our legal counsel at Schwab, who would respond to the counties and the others on payment of legal fees. During our last board meeting, you expressed to me that I should return a response of each entity. We pay 1/5 of the legal fees, and then we write that.
Thank you. That you have received one from each entity, okay for that? Is that what you-
That's no. But I want to be really clear, okay? I have not received that. You as a board directed me to tell our legal counsel that we're recommending one to them. Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could add on to that a little bit, I talked to our legal counsel, about an hour ago, and they sent to the CDA attorneys, a couple of pieces for clarification, are still waiting on that, and I said, how soon can we get this thing wrapped up? And he said, hopefully before Christmas, so if that's the possibility, maybe a special meeting before Christmas, you get it wrapped up, or maybe right after Christmas, I don't know what that would look like, but. Like I've said before, we'll get the same wrapped up as that as everybody else.
Mr. Chair, just to the
Yeah, how
point,
do we communicate that? How do everyone find out that you're gonna hear, or
I will hear from our legal counsel, and then I'm assuming Sam talked with the report tomorrow.
and then, yeah,
Uh,
so I just have.
Hamilton or the
Get together
county.
when we know. When we all know, technically, we're all gonna know, but we're not gonna know to get it. You see what I mean? How do we?
As soon as I receive notification from our legal counsel from the CDAs, I'm sure I just first that information.
Okay.
Good work. I'll do it the day of.
And that's right, that's another meeting before Christmas. You should have to know, we got the availability of our attorneys.
Understood.
and there's 5 business days between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
Really, so it's,
Pretty limited.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be there wherever.
We'll know eventually. All right. Item number 3.
Yeah, so area rural fire protection district litigation. In your packet, you should have a map behind that tab.
They're right in the front pocket.
or right in the front pocket?
Yeah.
Oh. So a key component of the litigation, well, let me step, I do not speak for the folks in Oregon. But one of the key components of the litigation is access to CDA property, the length of time and distance. It is my understanding, again, I do not speak for either fire department. It is my understanding that folks in Oregon are anticipating use of the north gate and then utilizing approximately 28 acres of an easement that the US Army owns, not the CDA. And this is part, it's called parcel 2. It's part of the remaining portion of land that needs to be transferred to the CDA. If you look on the map on the far west, you're gonna see just a sliver on there in kind of a greenish color. I had a communication today with Nick Cots at the Oregon Military Department. I asked him the likelihood or the feasibility of Oregon being able to utilize this. And due to safety concerns, it's a non-starter. And Nick will probably elaborate more if necessary. But I wanted to share that with you because that has been an outstanding question.
So, the safety issues, the fire department's not allowed access. Isn't that a little strange?
There's more to it behind that.
Okay.
Nick, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, sorry. And just to clarify, Greg, are we talking about the, again, that northwest gate, or are we talking about the easement, that 60-foot easement around the west side of the ADA?
Gate.
Clear.
Gate.
Yeah. So it's a safety issue from the standpoint of we've never allowed BFRD to have a key for that gate. That is in our buffer zone. There was recognized mech in that 500 meters from the ADA fence eastward, and for safety for both the any vehicles, i.e. the Oregon Fire Department, or safety of individuals that would be soldiers or anybody that would be training in that area, we aren't going to allow access. In addition to that, we've also locked the gate. There's a gate that's just south of our ranges that leads onto the CDA property. We've locked that, so it wouldn't just be the gate for that north gate. It would be that southern gate as well. The reason why we locked that was to eliminate any contractors taking a wrong turn and wandering onto our property that way too. But right now, it's safety and security of our along that West Patrol Road. And I've communicated this with Jim, my director, and Jeremy, the deputy director, who's my direct supervisor, and they both agree with that assessment. Does that clarify? I'm sorry if I muddied the waters even further.
I have a question then, Nick, and maybe I'm just. If there's a fire.
So Nick, the question before us is, if there was a fire.
If there was a fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Would it be
if there was a fire where?
Be possible for folks to mute?
That is coming from Nick.
It's coming from there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry. Did you guys have? am I giving you guys an echo now?
That's better.
Only if we're talking, only if we're talking,
All right. If the question is if there's a fire on CDA property, how do you access to get to CDA property? It's the same way that always have been. We notify the front gate that there's a fire, and then the whoever's responding comes through the front gate and goes out the cantonment gate to the CDA property. If that was the question.
thank you.
Yeah. And we have a mutual aid agreement. Sorry, we have a mutual aid agreement with Boardman Fire and Rescue that we will, react to. We being the Reese Training Center Wildland Fire, we will react to the fire as well, and because we have a vested interest to make sure that the fire doesn't get onto our property. So we have a mutual aid agreement as well.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, at 10 a.m. we have a emergency prep meeting, which we've invited the sheriffs, the chiefs of police, the fire chiefs, and along with the military department to convene and to further the conversation.
Great, thank you. Is there Randall?
Really quick, I can share with you, as of today, we have 90 crews rented. We received, I think there's 3 inquiries this month. And perhaps by next month, we'll be up to 12.
That's great, thank you. Anything else? All right,
Not today.
item number 5, board elections. It's time to consider a new chair. My understanding of the intergovernmental agreement is that the chair can sit on for 2 terms. But I'm looking for your pleasure and a nomination for the next chair.
And Mr. Chair, really quick, just so there's no confusion, you should have a copy of the intergovernmental agreement that spells out the process.
That allows you to have more than.
Fair reporting.
How many terms have you served?
I think one.
I'll make a nomination for Joel as chair.
Say that again.
I will make a nomination for Joel Peterson to serve as chairman.
And move that Joe Peterson be the next chair. The second.
I'll second it.
And moved and seconded that Joel Peterson be the next chair of the CDA, and I'll just add in that this will be effective January meeting. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I want to do the roll call.
Roll call.
Yeah, Jeff,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
John,
Do I understand? That doesn't matter.
Motion carries. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
So we need the vice chairman now.
Thanks.
I'll make the nomination for John Schaefer to continue as vice chairman. I'll second that.
And moved and seconded that John Schaefer be continue as vice chair. Those in favor indicate by saying aye, and we'll do a roll call again.
yeah, Jeff,
Aye.
Jamie,
Yes.
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. You too.
Item number 6 under works. Conversation about the fiscal agent, I'm looking at you, looking for that.
So, Mr. Chair, it's on the agenda for you folks to have a conversation.
Okay. All right, so Joel, you've got fiscal, well, part of ours on the fiscal agent for.
So we had talked about updating
what the situation is, what the job duties are. And I don't know. Would that require changing the ITA? If you
I don't think the IGA says what the fiscal agent description is, so we might don't have that.
Otherwise. Maybe after the. If the tomorrow is, going to do that, and they, or tomorrow maybe to define exactly what we mean by fiscal aid. I think it's largely for grant and other.
I thought the wording in the IGA might some bullet points.
Yes.
For what the fiscal agent does as far as receivables, payables, grants, items on budgeting. I don't
Those
know
are
if-
described
or-
on page 4 and 5 of the IGA.
Jay.
Yeah, so.
Read it.
You know, they're not. Or this needs to be modified, or.
So just, Mr. Chair, for a point, I'll just read it quickly. The board shall select one of its member public entities to serve as the fiscal agent for the authority. Responsibilities of the fiscal agent shall include, but are not limited to, 1, keeping and maintaining accurate financial books and records on behalf of the authority to account for all expenditures and funds. 2, receiving funds and making payments on behalf of the authority as authorized by the board. 3, obtaining as many may be required by the board for following customary practices of the entity, serving as fiscal agent, an independent audit conducted by the certified public accountant. Or 4, providing access to books and records of the authority for open inspection by parties during business hours upon reasonable notice. And 5, if requested by the board, providing employer services on behalf of the authority, including making arrangements for payroll and any agreed upon benefits to employees of the authority.
Thank you. Is that what the people?
We have made it very clear to the board at several meetings now that we will not take on employer services on behalf of the CDA. Oh, we have. What's that? I said, normally we have those folks, but they, just supply the information we want that.
Well, at least I'm not sure that the people online can hear.
I can't hear you. Oh, it was the number 4, put in the number 1, I think you
Providing access to books and records of the authority for open
we
inspection
have
by parties during business hours.
that.
Like we need to develop a list. And maybe,
Well, it seems like since we went to a bookkeeper that we have employed, that they're doing functions 1 and 2 right now.
yes.
So Joel, are you saying, and these are the items 4 and 5 would not be items you would do as a fiscal agent? Is that?
I think what we continue to say is that we would be the fiscal agent because the IGA requires one. And we would be more than happy to continue to work on state and federal grants. Management, it, I guess I can go back to our board and see if they want to expand those duties, but like you said, you've got a bookkeeper that's doing several of these functions. You're getting an independent audit now. We also are audited, so. If we need to maintain those funds, they would go forward for our audit.
You're willing to do it, but you need to check with your board to see if it includes all the items in the IGA.
We will not have a meeting again, unless we call a special meeting in travel. The third week of January. But we would like payroll to cease the end of December.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Joel. We really appreciate what you've done so long as it is. Anything else on in work session, Greg? Okay, all right. Item number 7, policy considerations. Credit card policy. I hope that that's good forward, we'll see.
Yes, it should, each of you should have a copy of a policy. I'm hoping each of you have taken the time to read this, and if you have any questions, we can ask Elizabeth. And I ask for your conversation and consideration.
I have a question. John, under policy number 2, it says credit cards are issued only to the executive director and to the CDA. If I'm not mistaken, we're not going to be having an executive director, is that correct?
I think that's been the intention of the conversations we've been having the last several meetings.
So if we don't have an executive director going forward, who do we issue the cards to?
We just wouldn't need to.
Was that?
I guess we wouldn't need to. We'd have a credit policy in place if we had an executive director. If we don't have an executive director, then there's no one's going to shoot. It's just in place.
Okay.
Your policy, the questions under the director.
Lisa had a question, Mr. Chair.
If for some reason you need a credit card, you could issue them to your.
Say a little louder.
So if you have a reason for a credit card, you could issue them to your board members.
I need this policy now.
The document for showing doesn't have a date on it or a place for one. It says it has a purpose, not a policy. Procedure, what? Does it have a title? Or I would like to see us approve this, and how.
If you keep the policy, if we keep the policy the way it is. And if there happened to be an occasion when a member of the board had to be in the service of the CDA traveling or something like that. Another alternative is keep your receipts and get reimbursed, because that way you don't have, half of this floating around out there.
I just thought I should with this one, I guess. Sorry, go ahead, you're okay. I'm just looking at the number B under procedure 3 and item B is the void. The executive director is responsible for it. It has a whole list of things the executive director is responsible for. Again, if we're gonna not have an executive director, who's gonna be doing all that?
I think the policy, well, seems obvious to me that the policy is written. The assumption we would have.
And so no one would be.
Like, you don't have an executive director, the policy, in case you ever give it an executive director.
Except this policy does allow for a board member. And then they would be doing. Although it is let's see.
If B, Mr. Chair, if B just says, if the Halls is. It could be the bookkeeper. The executive director of bookkeeper.
On this, policy allows bookkeeper.
Not the whole one, but for the responsibilities under B, that Mr. Schaefer was describing, is ensuring that there is adequate reporting to the board on amounts paid by the credit card, ensuring that all purchases made by the credit card holder meet the qualifications of credit card transaction, as supported documentation establishing this purpose and the purpose was proper, and ensuring that all monthly reconciliations were reviewed and approved prior to being submitted to insurance. And so, I mean, that could be something, if a board member, and there was no executive director, if a board member had a card, and there was no executive director to fill this duty, then I think the bookkeeper might be able to.
So you're saying replace executive director with bookkeeper?
Or slash bookkeeper. Emotions.
If we do slash it, we're allowed to more flexibility, it allows us to deal with same circumstances and contingencies or something. You're slash bookkeeper.
I'm probably not gonna vote for it anyway, so.
But it doesn't mean you can't improve it. Okay.
Okay, so if there's a motion to put a slash bookkeeper in this policy, I'd be anxious to receive that from one of you.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Chair?
Sure.
Is the bookkeeper CDA employee?
Contractor.
I mean, I think the reason this was drafted the way it is because the executive director would be responsible for supervising employees, and in this case, maybe a contractor to ensure these things are being done. I guess a question to consider is whether that bookkeeper is the person you would want to have doing this if there is no longer an executive director. And if there is an executive director, is that the person you would delegate this type of responsibility to? So I just wanted to kind of clarify that question.
Can we issue a credit card to the contractor?
I would not be.
Yeah, and I think if we move to a situation where there is an executive director, we would want to revisit this policy anyhow, because if then we'd probably want to strengthen and flush out some of the responsibilities if we thought that the primary credit card holder was going to be a board member. And it just would be drafted very differently. So I think there's an argument to be made for adopting this policy as drafted now and then revisiting it after you have made, once we cross the threshold of having an executive director or not.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that based on your counsel, Elizabeth, we go ahead and make a motion on this as a draft rather than as a final policy.
That's not what she said.
No.
We can pass this policy and visit it later when something changes.
Is that what you're doing? Okay. Is you willing to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the policy with the expectation that it'll be revisited upon change of determination of the existence of an executive director or not.
Great. Second on that.
I'll second the motion, but and it also I'd like the date that we voted on is on this policy.
Okay, with that, Kevin,
Yeah.
okay. Then moved and seconded, those in favor indicate by, do you want a roll call or?
Yeah, Jeff,
Roll call.
Aye.
Katie,
Yes.
Yes,
John,
No,
Joel,
yes.
thank you. All right, now we're going to the yellow underline items that we added.
Sir, can I ask you a quick question? I know that we did a move to adopt printed as our agenda, but I just want to make sure with Elizabeth that we're not violating any public meeting laws by not having the public having access to this prior to, well, I don't even know if they still do.
I do think that you can modify the agenda during the meeting. I would, before we go to executive session, we need to revisit whether or not the items that you've identified for executive session fall within the exceptions for executive session. So I would just note that in addition to your concern, John. So
So you're okay with us going forward with the printed agenda, even though it's not online?
you can amend the agenda, yeah, during the meeting and add to the items. The agenda is required to be out for review. I think it's 48 hours in advance. And I'll double check that real quick while we're talking, but how long do you guys need before you're gonna move to that item?
We're there.
Okay, well, you can wait if you want to.
So I think just, at least for my clarification, I think that John's specifically addressing the item old business.
Actually, anything that we've added that's not on the printed agenda,
Okay.
or the online agenda.
Okay.
So these, what we're talking about is regular, for some,
Correct, yeah, so it's whole business, and then there's also the executive session,
yes.
because it actually spells out, even though it's on this, but it doesn't say what we're doing. So I just want to make sure that we're not getting left out.
Yeah, official here.
So, Mr. Chair, we're taking a short recess while we wait for council.
That's fine.
Oh, that's you, shares.
For a recess.
Sorry.
Okay. Are we back?
Okay.
Yep, yeah, all over. I'm a man, I can do the job. I think I do the job. Pick the right guy from I was told.
You get fucked up, maybe you should,
I think we're back, Elizabeth.
Okay. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear sometimes. So I do think we're fine to proceed. I did confirm.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that, so thank
Yeah.
you.
No, and thanks for giving me a minute to double check it as well.
All right, go ahead.
Falls in report from. So we're moving forward with old business.
Old business, all right. Old business, we have the personal services agreement to talk about, the settlement agreement to talk about.
Do you have anything to report, Barry?
I believe legal counsel wants you to go to executive session report.
Okay.
You want us to go into executive session on this one? Was it? This an executive session? Issue?
Oh, I think we could go into executive session if we're going to talk about the release related to the personal services agreement. I don't think we can go into executive session just on the personal services agreement.
Okay. All right, Emily, do you mind reading it?
Going to executive.
We're going to executive session.
The CDA may hold an executive session meeting for reasonable reasons stated below under RS 192.6602. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room or the speed is paid adjourned to another meeting room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. ORS 192.6602F. To consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. ORS 192.6602H. To consult legal counsel regarding the legal rights and duties of the public body with regard to the current litigation or litigation likely to be filed.
Welcome back. Really a chance to get people back in here.
Sarah's left, Jody. I think we can go ahead.
We are on old business, item 8. Has 2 items, personal services agreement and settlement agreement, and I'm going to turn to Elizabeth to introduce the conversation here.
Okay, so, yeah, please go ahead.
I believe Joel.
Yeah, right, in light of, when we passed this, last meeting, this issue, the personal services agreement, and the motion was expecting some action, and, I would, at this point, like to put a deadline on our offer, of the end of the year, or I was going to suggest. And at which time, if this doesn't work, this isn't going to work, then we would, seek a different one. Port of Morrow would like to still at the end of December. So I would, make a, is this, put a deadline on our policy, personal services agreement and settlement agreement.
Discussion.
December 31st.
So I'll second for this, so we can get comments from Lisa.
Lisa,
I just want to let you know the court's action was to go out 60 days, which takes you to around January 12th. I just didn't hear the years of being recorded. And any documents, our board's next meeting is the 13th of January. We went 60 days from whenever, and then we're gonna meet more, remember the day of that. And I think, no, our November meeting was like, I think it's like the 12th of November, so.
Yours is what day is your meeting?
20th, I think. I'll look.
So ours is on the 13th, and I'd like to have an opportunity to talk to the commission about, where we are as well. Look, Joel, are you okay going to the end of January?
I don't think that helps us, does it? No, it'd be the other way around. We make it shorter.
I know the second point, I'm not going to proper motion, on the timelines, because I think mine might actually be a separate motion, but it's pretty later. Sure, good question.
Mr. Chair, I guess, I mean, maybe we need to talk about the elephant in the room here. I don't know, but in light of the Ethics Commission and the investigation of Greg Smith and with their findings this last meeting of ethical violations, maybe we need to postpone this. I mean, my understanding, he has 30 days to challenge the findings or accept them or whatever. I mean, I think that's a big deal. I mean, we need to find out what's going on. And I don't think it hurts to postpone this until, some of this gets resolved.
Mr. Chair, that was my point as well, but I didn't know if it was properly as part of the motion as a counter motion.
So we don't have a second on Joel's motion.
I second it, so we could have discussion on it.
Those in favor of Joel's deadline, let's do a roll call.
Jeff,
Yes.
Katie,
No.
Kim,
No.
John,
No.
Joe,
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
please.
to withdraw the contract in light of the ethics violation, case number 25160 ECF. And not enter into another negotiation for contracts until that's resolved.
Until what?
Until that violation is resolved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Want to state that again, just one more time?
To withdraw the contract offer until the ethics violation 25160 ECF is resolved.
Right. I don't know what resolution of result means.
There's recommendations within the violation. They include. Sorry, wrong. Recommendations. The commission should further order that the case be moved to contest the case proceeding with the initiated settlement matter. So when that's completed.
They have to do on that.
There's a 21 day, I believe, longer referred to the 20-day response window upon issuance of this, which was from last week. So that's 21-day issuance of response, followed by the recommendation that we're looking at. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that works means procedurally, but I know it's a 21-day response is per the violation or per the report, there's 21-day response period on that, and after that is the finalizing this.
I'm not sure that I understand all the implications of that, so before I be able to, it was just a simple thing, we just have more time. That can be resolved, we can have an opportunity for the board tomorrow to consider whether they would move the deadline or something like that.
Mr. Chair, so I think there's a motion on the floor, but just in defense of that motion, I don't think it's prudent for the body to enter into a contract. The individual has findings of ethical violation by the state ethics board. Or we're doing with that same amendment.
So you've moved and did you second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let's do a roll call on that.
So I think we're on some discussion here, and I'm just gonna speak from the concerns that I've heard expressed by the port. Is that the port is wanting to be done with being the payroll agent and making payroll for this position. With this motion, that does not solve that issue. And if the port follows through with it, they've said, and my understanding is that they've extended us the deadline before because we were working towards a path of solving that issue for them. What happens if the port does not extend the deadline and nobody's to make payroll and we still have employees at the CDA? That's the concerns that I have.
Mr. Chair, I would say that those are two very different issues. You're trying to solve an administrative challenge with an, I think it's pretty, those are not related. They have implications on each other, but if we get to the point that part of our wants to walk away from it, we don't have payroll, we don't have a process for it, then we might have to reposition our briefing employees until it's resolved.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
So. We're back to where
We're back to where we were. So the way that you need Joel is. You wanna know when?
well. January 12th.
So I've got a meeting on the 13th. If we could have it sometime after the 13th, that would be really helpful to hold over until then.
We'd have an emergency meeting to extend it. Correct.
Special meeting.
A special, sorry, an emergency special meeting.
Mr. Chair, in order to accommodate for more that deadline. Works for me to have my decision.
Say that again, Greg.
Which day?
The date you suggested. Was it by the end of the
We
year?
were suggesting that it transfer on December 31 or by December 31. Just for payroll.
And I feel comfortable
December 31.
having a decision made.
All right. All right.
Well, we'll see.
Okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
I'd like to bring up, I'd like to see at our next meeting, a outline of, policies. A list of policies and the date, their last adoption.
Okay.
And then we could start going through them one by one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Doesn't sound like broken record that I but is there a date before the end of the year to get the litigation ratified?
I can be on the 23rd.
You think? That's my question.
Oh.
Mr. Chair, I'm available anytime between before the end of the year. I might have to call in someday, but I'm available. I'll make it available.
Mr. Chair, it seems like we've got all the i's dotted and t's crossed. Is there any way that the, maybe some legal advice on this? That,
Don't look at me.
I was looking at, I wasn't looking at you.
There's no doubt about that.
Is there any way that the CDA can take action on that now?
Take action on it.
To vote to accept settlement?
Well. Is there one or?
There's no,
Everybody's been nodding their head like this.
Uh-huh.
Why don't we do it? I don't know.
I don't know if we want to ask her that question.
Yeah.
and I'm not hearing what you guys are saying. I missed like from Joel's last, did we make a motion to have the offer deadline by December 31st? Was that voted on?
Yeah, it failed.
Okay, but then I thought you made that motion again.
No,
Okay.
it is counted.
All right. Sorry, I'm just not hearing everything. I apologize.
The Elizabeth, we were at, what the question was, Bob asked if we could get a consensus on the litigation now, the Umatilla County litigation, and John said that he had, concerns that you may think that should be done. Oh, I was thinking you were talking the other litigation, I'm
Talking about,
Lisa?
Oh, yeah,
Last motion that was made.
I've never seen talking to yourself. I didn't know we went back to our, just like.
yeah, I'm sorry, back, point of order.
Everybody. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa first.
There was no motion on the December 31 deadline, or there was?
There was, it failed. But then we've had a lot of discussion, doesn't mean you can't make it again.
We recall, so Joel's motion for end of December failed, 2-3-2, or 2-3. Then my motion failed. 2-3.
So my question was on settlement agreement.
On the Utah County.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And Mr. Blanc's point was, can we get a consensus on principle for the settlement agreement with the Utah County litigation? And
so I can, oh, sorry. We are just waiting, Emily, you just received an email on this for just 2 clarifications on the accounting that you provided. So I think as soon as we have that from you,
I'm so sorry.
then we should be wrapped on that. We just have been, yeah, so we're real close on that.
When I talked to my attorneys before this meeting, about an hour before the meeting, they said they sent a little more piece for clarification and had that you're back on.
Yeah, I just received that a couple minutes ago.
I had the same conversation with my attorney. Conversation.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
just
and we
received
just-
that request for additional information, like just before the meeting. So, Emily, you just received that email.
And Mr. Chairman, so my board of trustees also reviewed it in principle, and so they approved me to sign it as long as it's necessary. Subsequent changes from what we're presenting.
Is there somewhere we could just resolve that here now?
I'm not comfortable, but tell my attorneys say we're good.
Okay.
I don't, yeah, it's not done. It's like 99% of it.
Yeah.
So I think we've seen all the final version, I think, but
Yeah. I think we're there, I just think the attorneys got to tell us we're there, yeah, I think, that's what I was supposed to be are. No offense to the attorneys in the room.
All right. Anything else we can address today?
so I think that there was the discussion, I was clear on, as you said, are we having a meeting on December 23rd?
I don't know, so. Anybody else, JD is available all the same time, I'm available the 23rd.
I really got to be available after they go with the conference.
We'll do 23rd at 1.
Can you help me understand the agenda item?
What's that?
The agenda item?
The litigation, Umatilla.
Okay.
We got the litigation and then we need to finalize this fiscal agent issue so that the offer with the court of law doesn't expire.
So will that be an additional agenda item for the 23rd?
I would think.
Chair Pusey, I apologize. Are you talking about January 23rd or December 23rd?
23rd, 1 week from today.
Okay, so I apologize. I am not available. Well, on December 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. I take that back.
You are not.
I am available. I apologize.
Everybody okay with the 23rd at 1?
I am, do we need to put the executive session on there just in case?
Just in case.
Yes.
Lisa, if you need here, okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. 1 o'clock A week from today,
What's that?
audience and.
Oh, there you go. Pretty close to Christmas. Yes. I get it.
And Joel, we said that you'd be the chairman then, right?
No.
Said January. Although that was a good news, that's a good news meeting, so yeah.
I know. Great. Anything else? Meeting's adjourned.